I'm Susan McGinnis with Clean Skies News. I'm here with Dr. Arun Majumdar. He is the director of the ARPA-e program at DOE. And Doctor, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Now, the purpose of this program is really to focus on very high-risk, high-payoff kind of projects. Give us an idea of what are some of the most exciting things going on under ARPA-e.
Well, we had 5 presentations today to showcase the ARPA-e technologies. One of them was this battery technology from MIT, which is potentially a grid-level storage. And today, if you look at the electricity grid, we can't store electricity. It comes from wind occasionally, comes from solar occasionally, but we can't store it. So I call it, in very crass terms, it's like the human body without a bladder.
Yeah.
And imagine if we all moved around without a bladder and someone invents a bladder. Wouldn't that be nice?
Suddenly there's storage. And
Suddenly there's storage.
So would you say that battery technology is one of the key areas of focus?
That is absolutely missing right now. And so they have figured out how to take aluminum manufacturing, which we do all the time in large scale, and convert that into a battery technology. And that's innovation.
So we're talking about storage of energy for things like offshore wind and solar.
Exactly. Wind, solar, all kinds of renewable energy, they're all intermittent. And that's the problem. You don't have sunlight at night,
right.
So you've got to store it somewhere.
What are some of the other very cool technologies that you have here?
So how do you take sunlight, again, okay, I mean sunlight, that is the source of energy for even wind today, right? How do you take sunlight and convert it into fuel? Now, that is amazing. And so we had two presentations on that today. Sunlight combining carbon dioxide and water to form methane, which is natural gas, and sunlight forming and using a device to convert to hydrogen, splitting water. These are extremely difficult things, and they have figured out how to do that. Another project is on carbon capture. And today, the carbon capture technology is really expensive, and you can't form a business to do carbon capture. You'll run into a loss. But you and I are doing carbon capture as we speak, because we're capturing from our cells and we're exhaling carbon dioxide. Now, how do we do that? It's pretty efficient. So the idea is, how can we learn from nature and in fact take that and expand it and do things that nature has not done before.
Right.
And those are really fascinating.
It really is. It must be such an exciting place to do
I'm
your
like
work.
A kid in a candy store.
I bet you are. Tell me, one of the big concerns among everybody in energy circles is competition. And how do you keep innovations like the ones we're seeing here at this summit from being manufactured overseas?
Well, that's an important issue. I think in the global market, the real market growth are in China, India, and other places. So we'll see some manufacturing going out there. But if you can keep some of the high-tech manufacturing, sort of the really high-end, high-quality manufacturing out here, that is good for R&D. So if you separate manufacturing from R&D, actually that's bad for R&D. So we need to keep that part of the manufacturing out here, certainly. And that's one of the issues that we are here for,
right.
Is to understand what do we need to do in terms of policies, in terms of financing, in terms of to keep the manufacturing, that high-end manufacturing out here.
And that's where you get requirements like the funding requirement for 90% of the manufacturing happening here, things like that?
Well, that's part of the Recovery Act, actually. Mm-hmm. In the Recovery Act, you have to do 90% of the manufacturing out here, and right now, all investments are part of the Recovery Act.
Are you part of working towards changes in policies to achieve these goals?
Well, we're trying to understand what the problems or the issues are. I mean, it's a very complex issue because you have state issues, you have federal issues, your private sector investment has to come in, and we have loan guarantees in DOE. So how do they all interplay, and how do we then lead to the solution? So we're trying to understand the problem, hopefully the community can tell us what some possible solutions are. And then, of course, with us working with Congress, et cetera, we can perhaps come up with some policies.
Nuclear has been getting some attention lately with the new loan guarantees. Is that an area that you guys focus on as well? Are there new technologies in there?
We're looking into nuclear right now. In fact, one of our first ARPA-e fellows is focusing on nuclear to understand, and we're working very closely with the Office of Nuclear Energy, which is Pete Miller's office, and Pete Lyons, who's his principal deputy, and we are trying to figure out what is a sweet spot that ARPA-e can play in that will leapfrog over today's technology and actually complement what they're trying to do. So we're trying to figure that out.
Also, we're hearing more about offshore and very deep water drilling. Is that an area that you're involved in?
Yeah, I mean we have invested in a technology which does drilling, and we can't go into details of that right now.
Is there a commitment to new technologies for the old fossil fuels?
Absolutely. I mean, I think we're not going to get rid of fossil fuels anytime in the next 10 or 15 years, right? So we have to figure out ways how to do them efficiently. how we utilize that. I mean, that's part of our national security.
Right. I mean, one thing we're hearing about is proposals coming out of the White House possibly for encouraging older coal plants to do fuel switching possibly to natural gas or other things.
That's right, and carbon capture.
And that will involve new technology.
That's right, and we have the largest reserves of coal, and if you don't use coal in the right way, I mean, we won't be doing the right things. And so it's part of our security to use coal the right way.
Do you see a bigger switch to natural gas?
I think so. We are finding a lot of natural gas right now. So I think certainly the carbon content of natural gas is lower than coal, and utilizing it in an efficient way is absolutely critical for us.
When and what will be the next round of loan guarantees? Do you know?
That I don't know. You got to ask Jonathan Silver and the
Okay.
secretary there.
We'll try him. What other technologies are out there? Is rooftop solar in our future? Or is that just a matter of bringing down the cost for now?
Oh, it is definitely bringing down the cost. I mean, right now, if you look at not rooftops, rooftop solar is expensive. But if you look at solar farms, I mean, that's still about $3 to $4 a watt, whereas coal and natural gas are about $1 per watt. So bringing down the cost, if he can bring down the cost of solar fully installed to about $1, $1.50 per watt, then it'll scale. And so that needs technology to get there.
Right.
Yeah.
Any clues about the next award round? Another $100 million this coming spring? Another 120
Right,
coming
we
after
just
that?
announced it. The
Okay.
secretary announced it today,
Right.
this morning. It's about
Okay.
$100 million.
And then another round is coming later this year?
That depends on FY11 budget.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Tell me about the future of the U.S. as far as changing course. Do you feel that the U.S. needs to?
Absolutely. Well, it certainly needs to, but it's happening. We are in the middle of that, I would say, a huge sea change. And I come from university system. I come from academia. And I've seen this happen with my students, all the students in Berkeley, MIT, Stanford, and all places where, 5 years ago, if you asked, what do you want to do? I said, I want to do nanotechnology. I want to do this. Right now, they're banging on our door saying that I want to work in energy. Tell me where to go and what to do. And that's a huge, this is a grassroots movement that is happening. And the ARPA-e Fellows Program is going to tap into that. And because it's their future,
Yeah.
we need to give them some platform to be able to shape their future. So that's part of the ARPA-e Fellows Program. So this is a huge sea change. The same thing is happening in academic, whether it's professors or national labs, they're all changing. So this is very, very important. And even in the industry, the same thing is happening.
And do you see the very new technologies, the high risk, the high payoff technologies coming and getting to scale in time to stop the worst effects of climate
Well, that's
change?
a good question. I don't know the answer to that. I mean, I think as I said in my speech, the next 20 years has to be the most inventive 20 years of our history. And, that's part of RP's goal. That's part of our ethos, to enable that. But the scaling part is something why we are here, to figure that out. I mean, I don't know exactly how the scaling is going to work. I wish I had all the answers. But that's for wisdom of the community to tell us what are the options, what are the instruments that we have, financial instrument, policy instrument, that we need to create to scale that.
Right.
And we'll see.
Well, best of luck with those goals. Dr. Majumdar, thank you so much for joining
Thank
us.
you very much. Yeah.
And I'm Susan McGinnis with Clean Skies News at the ARPA-e Summit.